Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Traci Lynn. So glad to be sitting here on The Move. And I'm doing this podcast today and I hope you enjoy it. They call me the $100 million woman. Come and see why. Enjoy it. I went on there, woo, how y'all like my hair? They were like, do you know what's happening? I do, and I'm unbothered. I've seen it before.
Throughout your journey, what are some maybe specific things that you've done to really be able to bulletproof that mind?
I'm riding with you till the wheels fall off, and wheels fall off, and then they're gone. But he rode with me till the wheels fall off, came back on, got a new car, had an old car, whatever it took to be in that lane, in that car at all times with me.
Do you ever feel like we're not ready for the things that we say that we want and that we need to go through some seasons in order to become ready?
To see some women who I was helping backstab, a woman set up a coup against my business.
Where did you emotionally have to develop the most to be able to handle that?
I was bulletproof. So I was able to go out and stand in all faces of everything coming at me and still stand and empower more than 100,000 women.
What makes a good mentor, in your opinion?
I wasn't doing business after 8 o'clock at night. There was no jewelry emergencies, ain't no jewelry surgery. I needed my family to stay sane.
I'm here with the one and only Dr. Traci Lynn.
Wow.
Thank you so much for being here. I get excited about a lot of interviews, but there's just some that, for your own selfish desires, you need to have some types of conversations.
Yes.
And this is just one of those conversations. And I was listening to an interview that came out with Donnie Wiggins, and you said something, Dr. Traci, that really hit me. And it was around the concept of living up to your capacity. And when I think about you and what you're doing now, that's really what you're doing. We share a mentor, Les Brown. And I called him up once, Dr. Traci. And I said, Les, you ever gonna retire? And he said, why would I retire from my calling? And that's exactly what I feel like you're doing. You've done so much. And typically I don't really ask my guests to give a little bit of a background, but you started your business with $200 and grew it to 100 million.
Yes.
I have to ask you about that background. So if you can, provide us with a little bit of context of how you did that, because it's almost unbelievable to even say that.
Yeah, it is almost unbelievable, to the point that I didn't even want to say it at first. And it took my team to get me to talk about it. I didn't want to say it because it sounded so unbelievable. But yet in the circles that I sat at the table with, they were billionaires 15 times over every year. So it was small what I was doing compared to what they were doing. But at the same time, in a lot of the circles where I am now, it just seemed, I don't want to say it. I came up in an era, you should kind of be quiet. You don't need to say those things. But yet in my household, I had freedom to express myself and say it. So it was that contradiction of the world that I lived in that made it hard in the beginning for me to say it. But when I talk about the $200 to 100 million, I didn't just take $200 of my money and then it was 100 million. There was 3 iterations of the same business before I got there. So I started Traci Lynn Fashion Jewelry, and then I made it $1 million when I first started that business by the time I was 25. By the time I was 26, I lost $1 million. And I stopped the business. That's why I lost. And I stopped the business because I was not ready for the criticism. I wasn't ready for the backstabbing. I just was not equipped. I didn't grow up with that. I grew up in a loving household with my mother and grandmother who raised me. And so to see some women who I was helping, they were much older, backstab. A woman set up a coup against my business to say that they were going to she wanted everybody to start with her selling the jewelry. And she was going to be the wholesaler. And I heard it with my own ears, and that I didn't want to do it anymore. So in order for me to really get to 100 million, I had to bulletproof myself from that kind of thing because it was going to happen again. And I had to be prepared, and I wasn't prepared at 25, wasn't prepared at 26. So I started again. And in between that time, I met Les Brown. So I figured that was my real calling. So I started traveling with Les. I traveled, I was his opening speaker. I sold his product. And so I said, that's it. I'm going to be a professional speaker. But it kept coming back to me about the jewelry, because as a speaker, I would go motivate and I would leave them. And the women would always follow me. That we didn't have socials. There wasn't nothing social. You didn't give a social because you didn't even have, you barely had internet. You know, that's what we were dealing with. And so women would always want to know, how could they stay in touch? So I realized I needed the vehicle. I realized Traci Lynn Fashion Jewelry was a vehicle. Now, it was selling jewelry, but that was really the disguise of the personal development that was happening. So that was tapping into the real call. I understood it. So I started again. I didn't have the resources, so I thought it was a money issue. Then I realized it was an issue of me not having any big entrepreneurs in the family, so I bought a franchise. So I didn't get one, I got three. So I wanted to learn systems, processes, and strategies. So I bought franchising. So by the time the call came to me again, do it again and do it now. When I did that, I retired my husband from his job so he could run the franchises, and I went off to jewelry. And that was the time that made the $100 million in that season. I was a different person. Not only was I armed with systems, strategies, processes, understanding how business really worked, had 3 franchises, owned property. Now, I wasn't even 30, or maybe I was 32, but I was different. I was bulletproof. So I was able to go out and stand in all faces of everything coming at me, and still stand and still continue and empower more than 100,000 women. And then I looked at my role model, Madam C.J. Walker, from 100 years ago. Never talked to her. Had to make friends with the great-great-great-great-granddaughter, read the book, just take out what I could. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm here to talk and to encourage and coach women. But I figured 100 years ago, 1915, if she could make $1 million, surely 100 years later, I should be able to do 100 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, you said something there. There was seasons. There was iterations. I feel like, and I don't know if you see this with some of the women that you coach, but do you ever feel like we're not ready for the things that we say that we want, and that we need to go through some seasons in order to become ready?
100%, but nobody wants to hear it when they're in that season. What they want the magic pill. They want me to just speak it and it happens. It's already in them. So my job is not to speak it for it to happen. My job is to stir you up. And my job is to prepare you to be bulletproof, to go through the middle. Nobody wants to go through. We want the beginning and we want manifestation. But there is a through, which is the middle. Nobody wants to go through the middle, which could be many iterations to get you prepared for the thing that's in you that needs to come out.
So when you look back and you think about that season of your life, personally, in order to go from the level, let's say the 8-figure mark, 10 million to 100 million, where did you emotionally have to develop the most to be able to handle that?
Oh, I had to develop several muscles to be able to handle that. But the biggest thing, so everybody thinks, okay, just give me some strategies. Everybody can give you a strategy. You can sit down with a strategist that can blow your mind with some strategies. That's not it. It's in here. This was the thing that I had to conquer. I had to be able to tell myself that no matter what, I'm in this to win this. There's nobody else like me. There's nobody else with my fingerprint. I came here to do it. And if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. Or is there somebody else that's going to come up and do what I didn't have the courage to do? So I had to stand on that courage. So when the coup came up again, this time with 3 people, not one, I stood, went to the hairdresser and got my hair done. And we didn't even have like real socials, but it was just starting live Facebook. I went on there, woo, how y'all like my hair? They were like, do you know what's happening? I do, and I'm unbothered. I've seen it before, and I'm gonna make it through this. And I did, and I got bigger. And I went from 10 million to 15 million within a few months. Oh, I had strengthened that muscle. Oh yeah, you in the gym. I see you. You don't pop like that unless you're strengthening those muscles. I'm in the gym now, so
I see you, Dr.
oh, you
Tracy.
see me?
I
Oh
see
yeah,
you.
I'm in there. So I wouldn't be able to have my shoulders pop the way they do. I wouldn't be able to have certain things happen unless I'm in there strengthening the muscles. So I don't have to tell you about it, but I can show it to you. And me standing up to that and go on, and in a few more months, I went extra $5 million.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, but it was already in me. But my mind wasn't prepared back then. Oh, but I was ready. I was armed and ready.
So when you're going through coups and just growing your business, I mean, this is crazy stuff. And it's a lot of commotion. It's like a lot of outside noise that's going on.
Yes.
How do you personally find the peace to sit there and be present in your everyday life? Because I personally, I'll be honest, sometimes it's hard for me to be present with my family, with my loved ones. So throughout your journey, what are some maybe specific things that you've done to really be able to bulletproof that mind and to just find peace within you so that when you go back out into the marketplace, you're able to grow to 5 million, 10 million, 100 million plus?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked, because when that particular incident that I'm talking about even happened, I was in prayer that morning and I heard it in my spirit. You will not be able to control the events of the day, but you are bulletproof. So I didn't make that up. I didn't just come up with that. It came from that moment. And sure enough, that was at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. By 9 o'clock, it had started. And my whole staff is looking at me like, why aren't you going off and going crazy? I already knew it was going to happen. Like, where is the reaction? And I left early. I was like, I got a hair appointment. That was a full color, full weave. So I was going to be up in there for 6 hours in the middle of all of that. Why? Because if they didn't start it, they couldn't take it. And I was clear who started it, and it wasn't them. And I had a word, a sure word. And my family, I've been married now going on 30 years in another month. So to be able to make sure that I include them, I'm present with them. There are certain things I don't do. I don't do business. I wasn't doing business after 8 o'clock at night. There was no jewelry emergencies. Ain't no jewelry surgery. I needed my family to stay sane so that when the time came to sell and jump off to something else, I'm still married. I still have my son. I mean, it wasn't about balance. It was about priorities. And those are my priorities, because it's a lot of phony things, phony people. I just did my purpose. I had a good time. I didn't see people as the dollars. The dollars were chasing me. I chased purpose. I just enjoyed that journey. And things came up that would try to talk against my mind, but I knew where to go. I knew what my connection was. So I didn't just stay full. I stayed overflowing, because that way nothing else is flowing in this way. I'm giving out and I'm getting my flow from my source. And so I'm just constantly overflowing. Everybody's getting the overflow. They're not getting the best part. That's reserved for the family.
So Dr. Traci, what do you recommend to somebody that like they're just going through it and they don't feel that connection with God? For me personally, that's what I believe as well.
Yeah.
So how do we start to develop that relationship so that we can tune in to that higher power, so that even when we go through those difficult things, we stand firm in who we are and what we do because of we know whose we are?
Yes. That just starts with devotion. Sometimes it's as simple for some who don't even do any of that as your affirmations. What did God say about you? I am strong. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am beautiful. I am smart. I don't have a spirit of fear. I'm confident. I've got power. My mind is sane. My mind is sound. I can do it. I can do all things. I can accomplish this. Greater is He that's in me. If God be for me, then who can be against me? Surely not some people who were working for me. Come on. So you got to start to tap in, and then you can hear that still small voice start giving you warnings, telling you what's going on, discernment. And the key is, this is what people say, something told me. Well, why you ain't listen to the something? I know you may not want to identify, I don't know what the something is, but something told you, but you didn't want to, well, I didn't trust it. Well, you need to trust it, because Holy Spirit is always talking. That still small voice is always leading and guiding. We just have to choose now and decide, if I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to do it big, I am not going to do it without that voice.
In my life, Dr. Traci, there's been a couple of instances where I kind of dipped my pinky toe into doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I felt some type of resistance within me that I knew I should have been doing more, but I wasn't doing it for some reason. Why do you think so many of us are resistant to just jumping both feet into the pool and not worrying about drowning versus let me kind of take a step and see how it is? Why do you think so many of us are scared of that 120% commitment?
Because we don't have the right voices in our life. When you have the right voices speaking to you, because if you're say not tapped in all the way here, you need a physical voice to tell you your capacity, what you're capable of doing. Someone that affirms you, that sees you, that has done it, that can speak into your life and even speak situations that you haven't seen yet and things that are already in you that you can't see completely. Les said I had the gift of speaking and I hadn't said 2 words to him. And he wrote it in my book, You Have the Gift. And everybody at the table, he didn't write that in their book. And I went back, I said, sir, do you know what you wrote? He said, yeah, I wrote You Have the Gift, but you decided not to show up this weekend. Well, wasn't that right? And then the person that won the competition at the table got to speak with him, or for the whole group. I didn't even get to even go up in front of him, but yet he still wrote that. And the guy who won traveled with him, but I was there too. The one who didn't win anything, and nobody else in the class got a chance to see me. So they were like, how'd she even get out there? He saw me. That's what a great mentor does. That's why we need to be tethered to the right voice. That's why I jumped out the plane, 14,500 feet. I didn't want to do it. The man said, put your foot over if you're going to do it. I didn't put my foot over. I didn't want to do it. He pushed me because he knew what to do, and he knew that I would be all right when I did it, and I did.
For women, I would say, in my opinion, you are the best resource on the internet in the world right now for women that are really looking out to do incredible things.
Yeah.
And you're coaching a lot of women right now.
Yes.
I had Les once tell me, he said, Devin, a coach will help you go somewhere in yourself that you can't go by yourself.
Devin, then that's why we don't put our toes all the way in. You need the coach to see what's in you, because by yourself, it's a pinky toe. With a coach, you jumping in. You cold, but you in there. And you adapt to what the temperature is, because it's in you to do so.
What do you mean by that? We adapt to what the temperature in that water is.
Because it's cold. But once you get your whole body in, you're like, come on, how's the water? Well, it was chilly, but I'm good now. I'm 100% in it. So my body adapts. Oh, so we in the cold. Well, I'll warm you up. The temperature is in us to adapt to the surroundings. You've adapted. And now you're trying to encourage other folks who stick in a pinky toe and they cold. But you all in and you fine because you adapted and your coach knew that you could and you would. You just needed that push.
So Dr. Traci, we're talking a lot about mentors and coaching. How does someone actually get the most out of a mentor-mentee relationship? Because I see it all the time. We hire coaches, we buy courses, we do all of these different things, and then life doesn't change. So if someone is like, Dr. Traci, I got this new mentor, but I don't know what to do. What do you tell that person to really get the most out of that mentor?
Well, I just answered this question last night. I had a meeting with my local mentees in my Big Dog program, and I told them they have to lean in. Don't be afraid. This is what happens. Oh, I didn't get anything from that coach. Did you ever ask him a question? Did you ever come to the group sessions? Did you ever come to the live group session? Did you ever put a comment in? Are you posting in there so they can see you? or you just want somebody to pick up the phone and talk you through, and you didn't pay for a group program. That ain't what it is, but you can still get the maximum. Because even in the Facebook groups, this is your top contributor. Facebook tells you,
100%.
you be the top. I know my top contributors. They don't think I know, but I do know. And that's how I lock in. I'm locking into the people who lean in. So if you can't lean in, how can I lock in? What's your part?
Yeah, it's that personal responsibility to go all out.
Accountability is going to get you and keep you there. How you going to stay where you go if you don't lean in and make yourself accountable? Then you understand how to get accountability partners. Then you understand how to squash voices that have been telling you you can't. And then you start looking for higher voices that start speaking to you that you can. And you're able to walk away from those inequitable relationships because you've already experienced. And Les told me, once the mind is expanded, it's impossible to contract. You know that quote. You heard him say it.
I do. I do.
Right.
How do we walk away from a relationship that doesn't serve us if it's a relationship that we've just been so connected to for so long? Might be a friendship, might be a romantic relationship. How do we do that if it's tough?
You know, I had a relationship with someone who was a strong voice in my ear, but they were never a business voice. They were more, on personal stuff. But then the advice got crazy. Then I realized they had no capacity for understanding. And then they started stepping over into business voice. They didn't even run a business. And I didn't want that. So I had to separate. Now it was hard because they want to know, did they offend me? It wasn't that. It was the season was over. One of my most important lessons in life was that people are in your life for a reason or a season or a lifetime. My family is my lifetime. Other things is a reason for it and a season for it. And I live like that.
That's deep stuff.
Yeah.
That's some deep stuff.
Yeah.
So as you continue to grow, and as we talk about relationships and all of these different things, one of the things that I've continued to hear is the higher up you go, the more opportunities get presented to you. Now, you strike me as somebody that as you were growing your business, you stayed very focused.
I did.
So what are some of the things that you had to say no to in order to get you to where you were?
Yeah, because people came along, you would be so good for TV. You would be so good for this. Oh, you would be wonderful on social media when it started to come up. And I wasn't on social. I actually made a decision to be off social for 2 years until my team, Casey, Rachel, until they came to me and said, look, no, we're going to go on now. I was ready, had already sold the business. But I made a conscious decision to stay laser focused on what I was doing. I needed no outside noise. I didn't have time to explain it. I didn't want to prove myself to anybody. I wanted to prove myself to me that I could be committed and relentless in the pursuit of what I was called to until the next assignment presented itself. And I stayed true to that. So people tell me, this one guy wrote on social, she can't be making that. She didn't make that money because I don't know who she is. Now, because he doesn't know me, I didn't make it.
Wow.
And then people who know I made it, sometimes the Caucasian folks, oh, you Oprah's cousin? Do I got to be connected to Oprah's cousin? So I look, laser focus on what I'm doing. I didn't care if you knew me or not. It wasn't important. I wasn't trying to impress, and I wasn't worried about some fame that you knew me. I was doing what I was doing. I was making my mark, and I was making my money.
Wow. Dr. Traci, a lot of people ask you a lot of different questions.
Yeah.
I'm asking you a lot of questions. I got so many things going on in my mind right now.
Absolutely.
Because you're stirring some stuff up.
Good.
But what is the question that you wish more people asked you?
A lot of the questions you asked. Like, the reason, I've never been able to really tell that. The reasons, the seasons, the lifetime. Just the deeper thought questions are the questions, not just how you made the money, because my path is different from everybody else's. The key is get on your path. Money chases mission. So if you ain't got no mission, where's the money ain't chasing you, you chasing it. You working 24/7 trying to get it, and it's eluding you sometimes because you're not on mission. Stay on mission. So the only questions, and even one thing that I like to talk about, and you're helping with that. So I'm enjoying this interview because you're talking to the deeper side of me, and I appreciate that. But even when my business was over, and I stood on stage in Vegas, I spent $1 million for that convention so that I could give my ladies, they didn't know it, one last hurrah in Vegas for inexpensive hotel price at Caesars. And it cost me $1 million to do it. But yet my business was over and I knew it. I didn't want to face it. I stood on that stage, glittered down, blinging from head to toe. And the thing was over and nobody else knew it. I had thousands of screaming women. I had the most amazing hotel room I have ever in my life stayed at in Caesars, and it was over. It was over. The business was over. But I had already started the jump off. Nobody saw it. I had already started a beauty line. I was already thinking about what was next, and I was at the height, but I already saw it coming down. It was already starting. But I was at a jump off point. And sometimes we stay too long. That's what I would want somebody to really talk to. Nobody talks to me about that. What's that feeling to be on top of the world in Vegas and know that it's about to be over? Know that your revenue is about to slide all the way down if you don't go ahead and jump, so that you can still do something at the height, that you can still sell it. You can keep your mind right. How do you move on from that when is that your identity? So not being so wrapped up in being the jewelry lady that I can jump. Did I want to? No, but it was necessary. That's what I would want.
What was the most challenging part about that period personally for you?
Well, who was I going to be after that? This is who I had been. This was my purpose. Was there another? But then I had to realize, but yet I'm still alive. So it had to be something else. And then I realized, what do the greats do? They coach. Deion Sanders, he coaches. Dawn Staley, she coaches. That may be the next path. I tried real estate, got my license, and I'm a real estate investor, but I thought I was going to sell property. I'm all up in the office just making coffee, grinning at everybody. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody's talking to me. I'm grinning. I ain't making no sales. I'm on the top team. I ain't getting no commissions. And I realized, maybe this ain't it. And I just kept going. And I wasn't worried about what you selling real estate now? I wasn't worried about what they were saying now, because my account was still fat. I did what I had to do. And I just have learned not to try to prove that, just to be that.
You have a gift, Dr. Traci, and I feel it right now. That's to make people feel special.
Yes. Come on here, Devin. You better tell the people the truth. You got it.
How do you do that?
You just said it is a gift. I don't know.
How do you do that?
I don't know. It's a gift, and I tap in. You are 100%. You're very perceptive. You need to work that gift in you. Very perceptive. And you want to do a million things, and you want to do it fast. You military, you get this, you got the company, you got all that. You good. And it's so many gifts. Take inventory of all those gifts to pull out the deeper. I don't know how I do it because it is a gift, but I do know I do love people, and I love seeing them, and I love stirring them up, and I love seeing all their gifts, and I truly want them to win and succeed. And I'm happy about it. Not jealous, not envious, not comparative. I want to see you do it. I want to see it happen. So I tap into that.
What makes a good mentor, in your opinion?
A gift to see what's in the student, a gift to see what's in people, to see people for who they are and what's in them, and not about the dollar they're going to make. That's what makes a great mentor. But they have to be able to see, and they have to have the experience to have done it and walk through that fire. I don't want anybody telling me about what they learned in a book. I can read the book. No, I don't. That's not what I'm here to do. And I can tell you some stuff I read in the book, but I can tell you what I lived. And I can tell you, now be careful, that water is deep. I know you're walking right now, but that thing drops off. So you want to go down that pond? I can tell you, I've had 5 attorneys all the time on retainer. I had it for a reason. So there are lots of things, good and bad, I can tell you because I've experienced it.
I got a couple of more questions, but
Okay.
there's one I got to ask you.
Okay.
Because you walked in with a man today,
I did.
and that's your husband.
Yes, indeed.
What role, and I know you guys have almost been married 30 years.
Yeah.
Number one, how important is it for an entrepreneur to find the right partner? And number two, what are the qualities that people should be looking for in a partner to marry for the long term?
Yeah, for the long term. I like how you said that. Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because I had been married before, and but to be married now to the same man for almost 30 years is an amazing accomplishment. So what we need to be careful about is that a partner doesn't get jealous or start to compare your success with his success or lack of financial capabilities. My husband said something to me when we were dating that let me know he was the man. And I never even spoke about this until like Tuesday on a podcast for the first time, and he was not with me. And he said to me, if I had half the talents, because I was going through a season, I didn't want to do anything. And he said, if I had half the talents that you do, you're just sitting here depressed and wasting these gifts and talents. I knew that was the man for me because I knew he recognized what I had. He wasn't jealous of it. He was supportive of it. He was willing to give me money on a catalog that he did, even though he had me sign a promissory note. I wasn't his wife. I'm not gonna get into that, but he was willing to invest because he believed so much in me. I knew he was the man for me. And he always pushes me and promotes me because he realizes that we are together. I don't go on a big stage without taking him. I don't get on a podcast or anything without speaking about him. He is my covering. He is my supporter, my safe place. He's what I need. I was filming yesterday. I was upset he wasn't there because he makes everything go right. And I need that in my life. And he got me away from doing business 24/7 because I would do it because it was fun. And I would do it because I thought the people were my friends. They were not my friends. I needed my family because they were here today and gone tomorrow. The money was gone. They were gone. They were riding with me. I'm riding with you until I'm not. I'm riding with you till the wheels fall off, and wheels fall off and then they're gone. But he rode with me till the wheels fall off, came back on, got a new car, had an old car, whatever it took to be in that lane, in that car at all times with me.
What a blessing.
Amen. What
Wow.
a blessing.
Dr. Traci, we could talk about so much.
Yeah,
We're going to have to do a part 2 to this one.
All right.
But
Especially right here in this fabulous studio.
I mean, you
Come on,
can't get better than the
right.
the
Right
move
now,
is
I
the
know
best.
where it is. I mean,
This is the
I'm
place to
here.
be.
This is the place to be.
Now you're coaching women. You're in a
Yeah.
different season.
Yes.
Can you speak very briefly as we kind of wind down the conversation? What is the transformation that a woman that has you as their mentor, what is that transformation that they'll experience?
First of all, they're going to realize that they are called to do big things. They're going to realize the capacity and that they've been living at probably a quarter of that capacity. They're going to be pushed. They're not going to be babied. I'm not coming to chase after them. I need them to meet me. I need them to lean in. And they're going to experience someone that has wisdom. I have one woman in my icon circle, so that's my 6-figure group and higher. So it's
Big dogs.
they're the big dogs.
They're the big dogs.
So I have the Big Dog Academy, and then I got the Big Dog Academy because these are women who are walking in 1 million, and collectively it's probably about 15 million for a few women, and I have one woman who's in like 4 or 5 programs at $40,000-$50,000 plus a year. And she's in there because everybody brings something different that they pull out of her. And how she also uses me as a resource for connecting business with spirituality, because you're going to get that. And I have information. Like if something comes up, do you pursue it or you pay it? How do you do it? In this situation, you pay it. This situation, you pursue it. I already know. I've done them. So that's what they get, as well as teaching. And then my big dog academies, which is the newer entrepreneurs, or those who've been stuck, or those who are professional women just looking to get ahead. What they get is, first of all, the big dog confidence and the mentality of who they are, how to lean in, how to see even this program as an investment and not a bill. So I got to do mindset training at that level so that they can continue to grow, elevate, make sure that they attract the right people in their life all the way around. Just teaching and teaching. I'm going for the mind, giving some strategies, but I'm building up that mind, because then everything else is easy to teach them, as long as they're coachable, trainable, and teachable. And I'm still coachable and trainable and teachable. I have a coach in the gym that I listen to. I have 2 coaches, and I listen to my coaches. I'm coachable.
Dr. Traci, thank you for an incredible conversation. This is so fun for me personally. Good. And to watch you just blow up on social media. You know, you're doing your thing, Dr. Traci.
It takes a village. Thank God for the village.
And you do have a phenomenal team that helps you.
Yes, thank the good Lord.
So I want to thank you. Yeah. And first off, where do people go to find out about these new programs?
Yeah.
Or where can we go to find out more?
So on socials, especially on Instagram, at Dr. Traci Lynn, TraciLynn, blue check, big hair, green suit. It's me. That's how you know you found me. And it talks about the Big Dog Academy. And Big Dog Academy is bigdogwolf.com. And the icon circle is really by application. So you can also, you can go to, I believe it's the iconsircle.com mastermind, or DM me. I have a team. That's not me in the DM. So the team is in the DM. Say, hey, I'm interested in the icon circle. I have a live team in those DMs answering.
Well, Dr. Traci, thank you,
Devin,
for an incredible conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for being deep. I appreciate that early in the morning. Thank God it's not 5 o'clock, because I don't know how deep I go. But in the morning, oh, that's my circadian rhythm. I'm the morning person. So this was good.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and we're going to have to do it again.
We're going to have to. And the very best to you. So much in you. And you want to do so much, and you're ready. You're ready. It's coming. Stay with it. Stay with it all.
I appreciate you, Dr. Traci. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.